Okay, so the goal today is very simple, which is to take a set of photos which will capture or represent the rush hour vibe here in Hong Kong using the Sony 50mm f1.2 G Master. The goal sounds simple enough, but I foresee that it's going to be difficult to come up with meaningful photos, and I may even fail this challenge or concept altogether. But there's going to be a reason for all of this, which I'll talk about later in the video. Looking back, I've lived in big cities my whole life. So I've lived in Manila and then now I'm in Hong Kong. So this made me form a sense of distaste towards big cities because it's overly crowded, always loud, super busy, and many more, you get the point. Which made me realize that I seldom really shoot during the rush hour to give me better chances in accomplishing something for today's concept. I've done some inspiration scouting by looking at works of other photographers who have shot in rush hour, and a common theme popped out, and it's to incorporate some form of motion blur in their shots to further capture the fast-paced environment or give that feeling of tension within the shots. So that's an approach that I think I will try out in some of the photos that I will share today. And rush hour here in Hong Kong is going to be before and after the working hours, obviously. So we'll split the photography sessions during the daytime and the night. The next set of photos need more context, and these are what I call the backpack aunties, where people go to them if they want to curse their enemies and provide a photo to these aunties where they will hit them repeatedly, making that backpack sound. It's really very interesting, and without context, these shots will just make you wonder why these ladies are waving burning paper around. So I think the approach that I'll take today is going to be the spray and pray approach, which I'll just shoot whatever I want and then I'll share everything to you. So judge me all you want if I'm a bad street photographer, but hopefully by the end of this video, a handful of those shots that I will show will form that set that will encapsulate the meaning of rush hour. Looking for shots that incorporated motion would be easy because it's already after sunset and I am able to drag the shutter speed for a while. Though it can still be very challenging because I was hand holding the camera, I needed to be very stable, so thank God for image stabilization. I went above an overpass overlooking the shopping district and focused on movement, surrounded by the bright lights of the area. I was watching this video from a photographer called Roman Fox recently. If you don't know him, check it out. Great content creator and photographer, where he was talking about the difference between a good photo and a great photo from his opinion, where he says that good photos are those with perfect compositions, beautiful interplay of light and shadows, beautiful colors, basically a pleasing image, but it's a photo that you won't take a look at for more than a few seconds and then you move on with your life. And in contrast, great photos are those that are not necessarily good from that definition, but it's something that will evoke some emotions, make you feel curious or question, and form an emotional response. And I thought that this is an interesting take because I did refer to something similar in a video of mine a couple of weeks back where I talked about taking photos that speak more words for itself. And I wanted to change up my approach in photography, where I anticipate a theme first in advance before I even go out to snap the pictures. And I thought that if I apply this approach, there's going to be an added layer of storytelling in my photos. So to practice this today, I thought it was going to be easiest in street photography because street photography is about the essence of the everyday life. So there's already that human connection with each and every shot. And I thought about rush hour because, well, I already live in one of the biggest cities in the whole world. And I think rush hour will also give me the maximum amount of chance of seeing something interesting because there's already something going on in every different corner. It's very, very busy. So probably there's a lot of stories to be told. I head over to the train station because I want to be more creative in the approach and shoot more with intention and add a layer of storytelling in the photos, where I focus on a few bystanders while surrounded by blurry figures depicting the contrast between patience and someone in a rush, if you could say so. I also thought of an idea of how there are huge advertisements all over, but no one really pays attention to these. I haven't done these sorts of concepts in a while, so that was quite refreshing to just experiment. So I've used the 50mm f1.2 G Master for a number of my street photography vlogs already. And it's not because I love the 50mm focal length, it's more because I wanted to find reasons to use it a bit more. Don't get me wrong, it's an exceptional lens. It's one of the sharpest lenses I've ever owned and used. But I don't have a lot of use cases for f1.2 because I don't really need all that bokeh in my photos, and if I need a fast enough shutter speed, then I can just use a tripod. And I've been using this 50mm prime as a challenge because I got curious of that statement saying that zoom lenses will make you feel lazy, so prime lenses make you move around more. Don't believe that bullshit. I mean, I found that even with zoom lenses, I still move around a lot, like especially when I want to try different angles and perspective. I still look around which vantage point I wanted to shoot from. I shoot from a low angle to exaggerate the foreground, so I still find myself moving around a lot, even though I have the luxury of zooming in. But what I find is the big difference between the zoom and prime lens approach is that, of course, in zoom lenses, you'll have more field of view options. Do you want more wide angle or a telephoto reach in your shots, which will have different artistic intents in your photos. With a prime lens, because it's a fixed focal length, then you're basically forced to use that focal length and then work your way around it, finding your opportunities to shoot. I don't think there's a better approach, zooms versus primes. I love my zooms very much. It gives me more opportunities and options for the compositions to shoot from. But sometimes those extra choices I get from zoom lenses have made me miss a couple of shots because I was faced with the situation of analysis paralysis where I can't even decide which focal length or field of view that I wanted to shoot. And this sort of sometimes makes me panic because some moments are very, very fleeting and then, well, I miss a shot in those cases. Not all the time, but it does happen. So, please commend me for managing to shoot a short session before I head to work, but I wanted to capture the morning glow of the sun being reflected in the buildings. I also thought it's a good idea to have a shot of pedestrian crossings with the stoplight in frame, depicting evidence of breaking the rules just to not be late for work. I don't really know if he's going to work. And for motion blur, the bright sun made it impossible to drag the shutter speed while keeping things exposed, so I did a technique that I've never done in a while, panning shots, and I applied this to some iconic Hong Kong public transportation options. I'm quite surprised that I was able to pull this off without any problems, and the shots came out mostly sharp. So I'm trying to get this road with rosewood over there, and I'm trying to wait for a person to walk by in between. Okay, so I think I didn't come away with any great photos. Those probably don't come too often, but if I were to pick 5 shots to help tell or connect the story of Rush Hour, I think I'll have a few. For this first one, I really like how it portrays some form of contrast and how the girl is being framed by all the blur. I don't know if people will be curious about what she's getting in her bag. There's also a slight motion blur on her face, so probably better if she was sharper. But overall, I think it's a very, very Rush Hour photo. For this panning shot, I think it's going to be good to add in a set because it does portray that iconic Hong Kong public transport. And even though it's not a strong enough image on its own, it's very, very simple, it does support the set in its own way. For this third one, I think it's going to be my favorite frame of the set because of all the tiny details that I was able to add in the shot. The frantic traffic of buses forming a leading line. Zooming in closely, you see pedestrians on the bridge, and then the composition is strong with Rosewood Hotel as an anchor in the middle. For this fourth one, it mainly just got me curious about what the guy was looking at. Obviously, he didn't watch the movie Don't Look Up. And being outside the metro station, very, very busy, and then you can see the different emotions in people's faces. Rush Hour type of photo. And for the fifth one, I can't fully decide between the 2 pedestrian crossings photo. I do like the framing of this one a bit more, with the blurred heads in the foreground forming a frame of the subject in the middle. Everyone is patiently waiting for the green light. But this one has a story of rush where the man decides to cross the street despite the main road car traffic is still at a go. So you might have other opinions, so do let me know in the comments what you think and if you think other photos should have made it to the set. But that's all for today, so hopefully you enjoyed this video. See you in the next one. Thanks for watching.